Hey, hi everybody. My name's Ashley Brooke. I'm autistic, and I wanted to go over my experience. I wanted to share with you guys my experience with eloping. When I say my experience, I literally mean my experience. I can't go. My son elopes. My son has eloped when he was younger, and he stopped doing it now. I can describe the behavior, what I saw with him, and I can describe my daughter's behavior when she elopes today. But I'm not going to act like I know exactly what her experience is, because I'm not her. And that's, just because, so when I speak with my experience, it doesn't mean all autistic people, okay? It may be a lot of similarities, and you might be able to get some useful information, maybe by hearing my experience. So, just want to make that clear. Growing up, I was nonverbal, so it's very hard for me to communicate things that made me uncomfortable. And because my family was always in a hurry and they didn't understand my autism, they were constantly trying to come on, hurry up, grabbing me, pulling me up in my arms, and coming too fast, and I felt like they were being way too rough with me. But I have heard later that now that I'm an adult, I have heard that autistic people that sometimes were very sensitive to touch. So I don't want to go and label them like, oh, they were doing that all the time, like real roughly. And maybe they weren't. I feel they were, but we don't really know, okay? Because there's a lot of information saying that we're very sensitive to touch. So keep that in mind. Next time you grab your child that's autistic and trying to get them out of harm's way, understand that you can also be the harm. Okay. Now, my memories, I have memories of me running away when I was 5 to my grandma's house. I'd run and take off. It was 2 blocks away, around almost 3 blocks, 2.5 blocks, whatever. And having these memories, and I would run away when I was 5, take some items and run away to my grandma's house. I started to realize that wasn't entirely eloping, but it was pretty much eloping. A 5-year-old running off that's nonverbal, blocks away. Now, in my mind, I was like, I'm going to grandma's house. And that was just one of my experiences as I started getting older, because they didn't understand, and they wouldn't stop touching and grabbing at me. So, but my experience with the actual definition of eloping, okay, I did run off and take off, and sometimes I wonder, was that part of my eloping, But I don't know if it was also the trauma in my house that made me also run a little farther, had an actual destination, But let's talk about the eloping part. My family, they were very noisy, and very really loud. Even when they were talking with each other, even when they were joking, they would be cussing and laughing really loud. And it was very I wasn't sure sometimes if they were fighting or they were playing. And even if I realized that they were playing, it didn't make any sense, because it sounded like the language that they were using and the way that they were talking, it was very confusing for me. So it also made me have a little bit more on edge, what's going on. And then when things were happening in the house and they tried to touch me, I would try to be if they're trying, even if they're trying to redirect me and try to help me or take me to pick me up or anything like that. It was I would, and because I was doing that, they panicked also and thought I was trying to run. And then I thought that they were trying, grab me more. It was kind of a misinterpretation on both parts, and it just got really it escalated into something that, and I just feel like it's really a bit of miscommunication. And I to this day don't like being in, and I know it's from my younger years of them always locking me in a room because I would run away. I get really high anxiety in public places. I hate malls, amusement parks. I don't like vacuums. I remember, up until I'm 38 years old today, and I don't vacuum. I will sweep the rug before I vacuum it, or I'll call someone else and be like, hey, I need you to come vacuum, and I'm going to leave the house. I don't like vacuums. I don't. I have seizures, too. See, a lot of times, sounds cause me to have seizures. So, I remember though being younger, and I remember that they would always hit me and stuff because I would take off running out the front door. And I remember that they were always loud, and my mom was always cooking, and it was hot. And I would just take off. I remember, and I think I just felt like it was too, like, I felt like pressure all over my body. And it felt suffocating because it was like hot from the cooking, and I would just take off. I would just leave out. I remember like running out. I remember my mom had to get a latch for she had a wrought iron door, and yeah, she would a lot of it was like more often than not I was locked in a room, and it was because when they would try to stop me from eloping, I would start going into full I would go into full I guess you would call it meltdown mode, they call it, right? In my mind, I don't like all these terms because it's like I was trying to get, like out of your grip, like I'm just a child. Like they're panicking, I feel like. I'm trying to understand and humanize the neurotypical mind, okay? But a lot of times they're like, they didn't trust that I would, they weren't really seeing me as a person. They were just like, oh, control her, and that language and that behavior, I mean, I felt it. It was not really like I was accepted. It didn't feel like, one second, my daughter. Give me a second, I'm coming. 1 second. So I didn't really feel like they really, they didn't make me feel like they wanted me around. And that whole anxiety set the whole like foundation for how I responded to when they touched me, how I responded to, things that they said. And it made me just sort of like withdraw and not want to listen to anything that they said. So I feel that, the only one that I listened to a tiny bit was once in a while was my mom, and that was because I knew that she was sick. But a lot of them just tried to rush me and didn't really see me like as a person. I think my mom kind of had to see me as a person because she was helpless and the other ones didn't help her. So she was kind of like forced into like needing my help. So she had to like give me some bit of like, freedom and respect. But I know a lot of people that have kids that are like eloping that are younger, like my kids' ages. My daughter's gonna be 3. I've been eloping since, when I was younger, like her age too, and my memories of it is that I feel like the world was going too fast and things were too loud, and I wasn't included. If that makes any sense. Like, I always felt like I was in a bubble, or I felt like I was in a. One of my friends said it best, like. One of my friends on here, he said, like, we were comparing, like how we felt about this, just the way that neurotypicals treat us. And I feel like I've always been like on the outside looking in, like if you see your whole family inside of a house and the windows are open and you're just looking from the outside looking at them and no one even sees there, like the windows are open, it's clear glass right here, and no one has stopped to even look or say hi or include me or hear, like include me. That's what it felt like my entire life with my family. And my friend that's autistic, I have a friend, he's on his account is he was in a bubble and he was just waiting for someone to come and pop it, like to come into his world, and nobody ever did. And is totally my experience. And naturally, when someone's grown up, feeling this way and being treated this way and then having sensory issues, and these same people that are making us feel this way are just all of a sudden grabbing us and picking us up and pulling on our bodies, it's going to be, I would highly suggest like to involve them. Like when my daughter throws her body on the floor, tries to run off and take off, a lot of times tries to run off, and I'll be like, hey, little bunny, hop. Hop, little bunny, and I'll hop with her, and I'll hop with and she starts hopping with me, and then she feels included. You understand? You gotta bring them in. I did the same things with my son and with other activities.